toolkit was co-produced with our community expert group and Lab for Living, who are based out of Sheffield Hallam University's Art and Design Research Centre. We co-produced the toolkit to replace traditional paper-based questionnaires. The initial idea for the creative solution came from discussions with service users and the local community. From these conversations, we found the best way to collect data was through imagery and tactile prompts. The toolkit uses visual prompts to evoke conversations and collect mixed data sets around a person's financial well-being and social hopes. It's for people aged 50 and over who live across South Sheffield and are finding financial issues are stopping them from getting connected with their local community. Working jointly with people for a period of up to 12 months, the project aims to decrease financial stresses and increase social inclusion whilst developing resilience, self-efficacy and self-motivation. It's made up of 3 elements. First is the financial personas, who are designed to help service users identify and reflect on their own finances and prompt further in-depth discussion. The CFPB Financial Wellbeing Scale, service users place purple and orange cards on the scale accordingly related to their own financial situation. The interactive cards are a pack of cards with a range of images on. They're shown to service users in an order to help us narrow down what activities, groups or volunteering they would like to get involved in.
Our Community Experts Group is a steering group essentially that consists of about 20, give or take, current service users and past service users, that was born out of the necessity really for us to get some feedback as to how things were going, some feedback as to things that perhaps could be streamlined more efficiently, what was working well, what wasn't, but also we wanted to facilitate a kind of community between our service users and allow them to talk to each other, get to know each other a little bit better and share the problems and the challenges and what they liked about their communities and perhaps what they didn't like so well. The input that the Community Experts Group and Live Better Get Connected service user base has had on the development of the project as a whole and on the development of the toolkit has been absolutely essential. And without them we wouldn't have been able to test and refine and develop the toolkit in the way that we have done.
Being with other people is what has my head. And I think I find my mental health did go down in the summer because I had major problems with one of my sons. He doesn't live with me, but with lockdown and everything, and he's got mental health problems, so it affects my mental health, and it's sort of a way of dragging myself back onto being me again.
I think as we get older, it's very easy to feel unneeded, and yet a lot of the decisions that are made in the world are made by people a lot older than me and absolutely a lot wiser than me. But I think that dealing with real live people that can genuinely give an insight into an otherwise closed world is something that I would say that is important, and the bonus, the payoff as it were for that is a personal one, and that is you feel needed again.
We were invited to be part of the Live Better Get Connected project. I think in the main because of the research and work that we were doing in the context of creativity and co-production, and particularly in the development of tangible resources enabling individuals to talk about complex or challenging subjects. So the toolkit we developed for the Live Better Get Connected project was developed in partnership with Lewis and with the individuals that he was working alongside. The starting point for the work were meetings with Lewis and his team to really kind of capture something of the broader context, to listen really carefully to what people were telling him about the challenging subject of finance and some of the obstacles that they faced. So following those conversations, we created the first iteration of materials in response. Lewis shared this first iteration with the individuals that he was working alongside in the community, who immediately told us what was working, what didn't work, changes that we need to make. So we then responded, and a second iteration was crafted, and a similar process occurred until we really reached a point where we had a set of materials that were fit for purpose, and which essentially had been created in partnership with the individuals who were using and engaging with these in this work.
I think the issue that I personally have with standard questionnaires is that they're not always very realistic in what they're asking. Let's make the questions real so that people can give real answers.
I find the standard questionnaire that you get asked tends to be black and white, and you don't quite fit in any boxes, rather than the new questionnaire where you can look at other people's stories and identify yourself with other people closer than a box.
I love the service, and I love the fact that I'm given a freedom to be able to have an input at all, because not every service allows you that. They're very regimented. And I think it's important that if the service is to shine, our views and maybe the way in which it's developed is also taken on board, because I think that enhances your ability in how best you can help us to move forward in our lives.
Being involved in community experts, it keeps you in touch. You realise there's like-minded people in the community that you possibly haven't met. The community experts is a lot of people who are in the same situation as you, but want to do things and want to have an input in how the communities are shaped.
Co-working with people with lived experience, however improbable it may seem per person, because people can be looked at and say, well, they're not really functioning well enough to have an input. That is the best time to get someone to have an input, because you're going to get a real answer, however improbable that answer may seem, and it will be valuable in a toolkit and make someone a little bit more ignited. If you don't ignite someone, they're going to remain hard to reach and they're going to slip through your fingers.
Often when you're leading a project, you come from slightly outside the community, so the toolkit will let you into that community easier than just a questionnaire. Questionnaires are so cold and impersonal, and as a service user, you don't want to. It's harder to engage with the person who's delivering the service. My daughter, she's autistic, so she's an adult, but sometimes the questions on a questionnaire, she can read all right, but she doesn't get the meaning of them completely. So it's harder for her to say yes, no, or 1 to 10 or whatever. It'll probably make her go back into a channel and not engage. There's a bit more something to talk about, and if the questions are read to her and they've got a bit of a story attached to them, or they've got a bit of colour, she will engage better.
Thank you for watching this video today. We hope that it's been informative, helps to contextualise a little bit as well the tools that you'll find in our online toolkit and some of the information that's available there as well. Co-production is such an important aspect of the work that we do as a project and the work that so many other similar projects do as well. And so we hope that you find our toolkit of value. It's there to be updated, it's there to be utilised in the best way that suits your project. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.